for the evening. Even though I
Says
still
we're
haven't
live.
freaking got a shave yet.
What's shaving?
Why don't you shave? Oh, we're live.
We're live? Wait,
Mm-hmm.
like legit alive?
Yeah,
Mhm.
we're live. Yeah.
Oh, hello. Good evening. Happy July
Easter.
Day, everyone, and welcome back to Batyard Productions. I'm your host for the evening, your Green Lantern from Oa Jerry, and as always, I've got my two favorite co-hosts. And we're just gonna go in order this time.
What's up, guys? I'm Matt from Gotham. What's up?
I'm Josh from Metropolis. How's everyone? Hopefully you could hear me.
And tonight we're going to be doing an episode I've been trying to do for a long time. But before that, we're gonna get into our BS segment where we talk Batman, Superman, upcoming news, big releases, or just interesting tidbits of stuff. Who wants to go first?
Matt.
Well, I'll go. Okay, I got a few little things. Saw Indiana Jones. I'm terrified.
You
But
saw it.
I saw it.
Should we do a podcast on it? Or...
Like, I don't want to, but I have a feeling we should. Like,
Oh man.
It's not like it literally ruins indie. This movie. I'm not gonna lie to you. As an indie fan, like I wanted hope for this one, but having all the information that got fed to me prior to this was getting depressing.
I
And
had
then,
very low hopes. Like I wasn't expecting
I
it to
did
be
once.
any
Yeah,
good.
once I started seeing all the information, my hope went from like very low, and I was like, once then like my friend Jimmy, me and Jerry's friend Jimmy, and our friend Steve wanted to go see this movie, and I was like, they don't come up here often half the time, so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go see it with them. Fuck it, I'm spending time with them, and I went and saw it. We all didn't feel like it. Like it was good. Like the beginning was awesome because it gives you a good indie feel, but the rest of the movie just feels like it falls off. But
Would you say it's better or worse than Rise of Skywalker?
I don't know.
Or what about Kingdom of Crystal Skull? Like which one's better out of those two? Because they're
by making a box office money, Crystal Skull made more money on opening weekend than this movie.
well, yeah, I
so
would agree with that.
sad thing to say. Sad thing is like if it was like I'm sorry if I look weird because my laptop is acting weird now. It's finally locking my screen for some reason. Don't know why.
That's weird.
Even though I'm doing this. But what's it called? I don't know. I don't know which one I would watch. They're both terrible to me. I would say I would probably watch Crystal Skull because it's younger indie and I get a better story than just a lady dragging an old man around. That's it. So, like older, like they took too long with it for this movie to come out. That's the problem. They have an 80-year-old man doing action hero shit where it just doesn't fit anymore. Like Indy should just be retired by now. Indy should not be doing anything other than being an expert in like artifacts, expert in like, or just like walking the halls of the school, like ready for retirement, or just there to support students if they need help. He should be like that kind of person now. But no, they have to make him back to becoming an action star again. It doesn't make any sense at the age that Harrison Ford is, and it doesn't fit. It doesn't like it. He literally mentions it throughout the fucking movie. He's too old for this shit. Like, so like
He's too old.
He is.
To
There's a
complete his
part where
training.
there's a part where he's climbing something. He's like, "I'm this old." I forget how old he actually is in the movie. He's like, "I'm this old. I shouldn't be climbing a wall right now." Like I'm like, "Well, yeah, you shouldn't be." Like,
yeah, but you're gonna do it anyway because Kathleen Kennedy's paying you money.
Yeah, so it's like whatever, fuck it. So like I'm down to do a podcast if you're all willing to watch the movie.
We should
I'll
do
probably
it
watch
after
it
we have
eventually.
6 beers.
Yeah.
Sure.
we should probably do it. I'm not like in a super rush to watch it.
It'll be on Disney Plus soon. It's already
Yeah,
it's
let's do
already
it
doing
then.
so
Let's do it
bad.
then when it's on Disney Plus.
It's doing so bad in box office now because they literally had talks about it from all the YouTubers I watch, and they're like they give me updates. They what's it called? The Lucasfilms and Disney had discussions about what they want to do with it. They actually said let's give it 2 weeks before we make a decision because they got hit with other movies during 4th of July. Nobody fucking even saw the freaking Indiana Jones really during their release. And then they said, let's give it another 2 weeks. And then they got fucked up by Insidious. And then it had a
Oh,
week
yeah.
off. Then, like, it had a week off from that. Then now freaking Mission Impossible came in and just slapped it right out of the fucking box office.
We should do Insidious instead because I've heard from a few people that the movies are actually pretty good.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go see it Sunday with Chris and Steve. So I can't wait.
Tell Chris,
This is going to be my
tell
first
Chris
Insidious
he
movie.
can't scream during the movie.
No, that's going to be Steve. I'm going to be holding Steve in my arms. He does not like scary movies. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm here partially with scary movies. I'm fine with them nowadays, but if they're gonna be like a lot of jump scares that I'm not predicting, I'm gonna be fucked.
So long as it's not The Exorcist or Chucky, I'm fine.
I don't know where this is gonna go. It's probably gonna be a lot of doll shit, maybe. It's possession shit. So, but then another thing is new Godzilla movie just got properly announced. The title was up in the air as
Is it a
Godzilla
Toho version or is it a
Toho?
Huh.
So we got new Toho, new Godzilla. It's a reamp of an old Godzilla design. So
Okay.
it's gonna be awesome as fuck. It's gonna get dropped on December 1st of this year in America and Japan. So we're gonna get simultaneous release. I don't know if it's gonna be dubbed for us in the United States or not. That's up in the air still. I haven't heard anything.
Not.
I would say assuming not because it would be easier to distribute it easier that way. But I don't know because that's one of the Toho's big things. They like to dub it for us. It's never good dubbing, but it's dubbing. But the person behind it, I can't say his name, but he is a really famous Japanese horror director. So he's going with the horror-based style. It's going to be a prequel to the 1954 Godzilla. So it's going to pick up a couple years after World War II.
Okay.
That's what I've been hearing.
Interesting.
The name up in the air was Godzilla Zero, but it looks like they changed it. I don't know if this is going to be 100% the name. I am hoping it goes back to Zero. I like that better, but it's called Godzilla -1 now. So I don't know what's going on with the title. I hope it goes back to Zero. It sounds better.
Zero does sound better. I agree.
But I don't know what other creatures in this other than just right now Godzilla wreaking havoc on people.
Mothra.
He's going to be an asshole. He's just going to destroy things. You literally see him destroying things with his, stomping over buildings, wrecking things with his tail, actually attacking buses with his jaws and shit.
Shoot.
He's doing work that you never seen him do in a while. As much as people say Shin Godzilla did some crazy shit, I hate Shin Godzilla's design. I hate the thing. It's a neat concept. Don't like the design. Really don't like it. And I
heard the movie was actually pretty good though.
I hear the same thing, Josh, but it's just to me personally, I just don't like the design, and it's hard to go watch him go through. It's a weird setup because the CGI they use for his metamorphosis forms are not the best, but the story behind for it all, it's amazing. But I just hate everything else about just the Godzilla. Then
I could get around that as long as the movie is decent. I saw the design. It's not my favorite, but I think it's fine enough. It kind of looks more like a nuclear monster.
Do you think we're gonna finally get a King of Hell Godzilla movie?
Never. God, I would say I'd rather have that as an animation than an actual Godzilla and
That's
live
what I mean,
action.
like an animation.
I wouldn't say that's in the cards yet. It's gonna. I think it would be. It's a popular. I know it's a popular comic series. I would say it would probably be in the Toho basket, but I don't know 100% because they're doing small projects because they still got the Apple TV show they're doing with Legendary. Was it? Yeah, Legendary. It's Monarch. You're gonna fall. Basically, a family's following Godzilla around, like the freaking like old 70s, 60s, 70s cartoon when they were like just summoning Godzilla and shit. But they're just following them. They all work for like the family parent. The parents are Monarch agents, and they're basically monitoring Godzilla. And that's what that's going to be. That's the last time I knew about. But then we just got King Kong Skull Island. Was it that animation show that was on Netflix? I'm hearing some good positive feedback, but the people in it suck. The Kong action looks
That's all
great.
those shows or all movies, you know.
They say just watch it for Kong. Don't care about the people, like how usually you should go with kaiju movies. But they already was it Toho actually put out the designs for Godzilla from the new movie already, so they're not trying to hide it. They want to they're trying to reamp their what's it called, their Godzilla montage like over in Toho because they've been using Shin Godzilla for 10 years about, and Shin Godzilla is like not the best looking design to really like put out there all the time. This one actually looks like an older Godzilla styles, and it doesn't look terrifying to people as much as Shin Godzilla does, because Shin Godzilla looks like it's been through the ringer a lot more than this one. This one looks like it's been like through hell, but it still has the Godzilla body. So they're gonna try to rebrand themselves with this new Godzilla style. They're not gonna touch the American style, including the funny thing is the director actually did a mini short for this, like for Godzilla in a what's it called, a different show, or yeah, I think in a show that he did. It's called Sunshine something. I can't remember the name properly right now, but he did like a little short Godzilla's in it. But it looks like he used that. People are saying that he used that early model he used to build this new model that he has. So he repurposed an old model and made it more crisp and nice. Is looking.
That's cool.
So he's not. Looks like he has what's it called? Some work with Godzilla, so it's not gonna be that bad. It's just that I just need more trailers than just a teaser that we got. I can't wait.
Yeah, I don't have too much in the way of BSBS. Mine is also more just movie related news. I have seen it's not early talks, but I've seen that they're making a third Tron movie where they're gonna have Evan Peters and Jared Leto be some of the stars. I don't know what's gonna be the plot of this one, but I think it's interesting that they've waited so long and that they're picking. I don't have anything against. I know a lot of people say like, "Oh, Jared Leto, he's been in, two of the worst movies of each of the superhero franchises." And Evan Peters, he was in American Horror Story, and then he was in Sony's version or Fox, whoever, their version of Quicksilver in their X-Men universe. So I think these are some interesting picks. I'm curious to see who else they get alongside them. I hope that they come up with a different idea, because in Tron Legacy, we already got Flynn back from the grid. So at this point now, it would have to do something with involving Tron again. But who knows?
Yeah, it's been, like you said, it's been so long since we got a Tron movie. It's going to be weird because, like you said, we got him back. We technically beat the computer. Yeah. So, like, we don't really need to really go back unless they can dig up something else. But I'm terrified because this is a Disney-owned product, and Disney's been shitting on themselves for the last few movies. So, yeah, I don't know anymore.
I like Tron. I know some people don't like the second movie, and the first one. It's kind of a hit and a miss with people, but I enjoyed that. I still have to watch the animated series that they have for it.
Yeah,
But I really do hope that they do something to kind of expand on the universe for Tron, especially just to give it a little more meat to the lore. And then what else did I have? I also saw that they're making a Bob Marley biopic.
Oh, that's cool. Is one of his sons playing him?
What was that?
Is one of his sons playing Bob Marley?
I would have to check to see. I just saw the ad for it a few days ago, and so I haven't looked too much into it.
Like,
I would hope that they get one of his sons or great grandsons to do it. And then I also have the worst news possible. They're making a second Nun movie for the Conjuring universe, and I think that this is going to do way, way worse than any horror movie release of the year right now.
God damn it!
I watched the first Nun and I hated it. I'm like, none of this makes sense.
No, it was so contradicting on itself. It's so shit. What was it? They had the blood of Christ in that movie too. It was the weirdest thing they got going on.
Oh, watch the trailer for the second one. You're gonna say nothing about this makes logical or chronological sense.
Do we move forward in time, or are we still in the same time period?
I think we've moved forward a little bit, but not. I really don't know. I said I want to see this movie, but I'm gonna be drinking the entire time because I know it's gonna suck.
God, it's the sad thing is with the Conjuring with the Nun. The Nun is actually a really crazy, powerful demon that they're going with, but it's such an off-putting design, like with like what it is for a standalone movie. It's great for like the other movies because other movies it would just pop into place, but it never like actually did all the like craziness. It just did what it had to do to make the movie go on a little bit more fucked uply than it was. But like when it was a standalone thing, it was just stupid because they didn't know how to write whatever this thing right.
Honestly, I feel like it's kind of a cash grab for them because of how the 4 or 5 films that they did for Annabelle, and those did pretty good. I only watched the first one because I said I'm not looking into this creepy little doll.
No,
yeah, I haven't watched any of those movies.
I'm technically over The Conjuring. The Conjuring is past for me. I'm like ever since the second one, I was like, all right, I'm fine. I'm done with The Conjuring.
The second one.
Then the third one came around. It was just like, I don't want you. Then they had the Nun, and the Nun was stupid. Annabelle is like, I don't need to know anything about you. I
need to know how to kill it. That's it.
Nah. I don't care. Like, I really don't care about it. It didn't spark my interest, including it's like even like weirder, like the design for it. Like they went with a scarier design, like doll design. But have you ever seen the real Annabelle doll?
It's a Raggedy Ann.
Yeah, it's a Raggedy Ann doll. That ain't scary. That ain't nothing to me.
I want to use it as a pin cushion.
I'm gonna disrespect The Conjuring because it's been going on for too long now. Insidious
has been going on too long.
Insidious
and I feel like they need to go ahead and just end it.
I know.
Like, the first movie was good. I personally like the third movie. I thought that was a very interesting, piece of lore and just entire. That's the one. The Devil Made Me Do It.
Oh, god damn it! Okay.
I thought that one was pretty good, but that's out of all the movie news I've seen, I'm looking the most forward to the Tron 3 whenever that drops.
Josh, you got anything, dude?
The only thing I have is I guess that new Superman TV show came out. I haven't watched it yet, so
I've been hearing
I'll probably watch that soon.
I've been hearing so many 50-50 things on it.
I know. I heard it was good.
Because people like talking about the animation because everyone likes the animation, but people don't like the some parts of the animation because like, oh, they went with a nice anime style thing, but at the same time they did this stupid like what's it called, like Sarah Moon some weird transformation thing where he goes into a
I know
flash
what you're
and he
talking about.
transforms into Superman's
I
outfit,
don't know.
and I'm just like, okay, whatever. It's something new. Then out of nowhere, he has lightning powers, so people are bitching about his lightning powers. And Superman never had technically lightning powers. His son had lightning. I watched a video on this. His son has lightning powers, but then they actually did a whole comic book series where he actually becomes Blue Superman and he's fully energized with lightning abilities. And I'm just like, okay.
I hope that's not true. I hope you're wrong.
No, I've seen it. I've seen it.
You didn't watch the show.
I've seen clips, bitch.
You watched someone else talk about it, so I don't believe you.
Okay, I'm sorry to hurt you.
I'm not listening to anything you're saying right now. But speaking of The Conjuring, if you want to check out our episode of The Conjuring, go on our previous episodes, and you could see us talk about
we did
the first Conjuring movie.
We did watch The Conjuring.
Yeah, and now it's streaming. Now it's on all podcasts.
HBO.
We're on HBO.
I
was talking. I meant our podcast. It's on Spotify and wherever you can find podcasts. We're
Josh
on
found a window and he jumped into it.
So you can find it. You can find us talk about The Conjuring. That's the only one I've seen. That's the only one that seems like it's worth watching. I don't know.
It's worth watching all the
the first one and the third one. Skip 2.
I have nothing to say. I rather recommend just watching all 3 of them and don't branch off. It's just too much more shit.
Yeah,
watch 1, skip 2, watch 3.
The director who did Annabelle did the Shazam movies,
and look what happened to that.
I haven't seen it. Good. Yeah, I haven't seen the second Shazam.
We should do an episode on the second Shazam. It's on Max now.
Yeah, because of shit.
At some point, I don't think anyone cares anymore.
No,
no one cares about.
No, that thing died its first week. Also,
that and what's it
Black
called?
Adam.
Black Adam. Yeah,
I watched that.
You know there's talks of them making Dwayne The Rock Johnson as Kratos.
No.
Kratos.
No.
Wait,
no.
who's
God we not. No. We're leaving out.
Oh, really?
He's gonna ruin that.
Personally, I don't get me wrong. I love Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I think he's a great person, and I think if you give him the right movie, I think he does great in it.
Yeah.
I personally would like to see, Triple H, because he's got the same kind of physique and kind of identical facial expressions for to be Kratos.
I want to see Steve Urkel as Kratos.
Steve Urkel's going to be Johnny Cage in the second Mortal Kombat movie that's coming. Oh, that's the other thing.
Really?
No, you're joking with me. Are you real with that? I thought it was what's his name from freaking what's it called?
Butcher.
Butcher, yeah, Billy.
Yeah, no, Billy works at IBM.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but I've been seeing a little bit more stuff about the second Mortal Kombat movie. Still don't think that's going to do very well either, but that's neither here nor there.
I kind of want it to launch. I really want Mortal Kombat movies to launch. It shouldn't be that difficult to fucking
We have
more
than enough games. We have more than enough capable people
who have lore.
Act. We've got everything we need. We can't put it in the hands of people who know what they're doing because everybody's on strike.
I know, right? Oh my god, the writers and actors are on fucking strike. That's one thing I did want to mention.
Crispy. The voice actors are a part of the SAG union.
Yeah, we're
so they're gonna be on strike too.
Yeah. All of us is every single piece of entertainment is fucked right now for movies and net TV. And it's gonna be fucking horrifying. And it's what the fuck's happening with this stuff? Because Comic-Con's actually fucked. All the what's it called? New York City, San Diego.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
Because they don't have any real like media stuff for like comics. Because Marvel, DC, they dropped out because all their product is garbage, and all the writers aren't there, so they can't announce movies. And then actors just went on strike,
because
so actors aren't.
Yeah.
So the actors on strikes now too. So the actors are not going to go to the fucking cons either. They're going to be assholes and sit at this freaking strike and do what they have to do instead of going to the cons and seeing their fans and being nice, like cool people. If I was on strike, I would still go to the cons and go meet these people. I haven't seen any people yet drop out, but I heard the news that people are starting to drop out of cons. And they're not, some people are actually are not trying to do like certain like interview stuff either now. It's like weird. I don't care who you are. If you're an actor and you have already pre-signed up for things, stick with them. Continue what you're doing. Then support your other coworkers.
Yeah, you should have us as your guests at your Comic-Con.
Yeah,
we won't bail on you.
Do everything they can for half the price. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, hint, hint.
So it's getting absurd. Like it's getting really crazy with this stuff. But like I'm not gonna lie, like New York City and San Diego Comic-Con should be still big, like and crazy with other stuff that's not Marvel, DC, or certain other entertainment stuff that's getting affected by this. I would assume there's going to be other companies still there trying to produce, like, show off their stuff that they already have in the tubes, like, coming out. I've been hearing, like, back with the Godzilla stuff, Toho may drop some more stuff during one of the Comic-Cons. Don't know which one yet. But I've been like, some other companies will be there to do some crazy shit. I mean, and you got the people selling stuff there too. Don't forget them. You gotta support them.
For me, with the writers going on strike, I understand that completely. They want more money, and these people don't want to pay up. I'm like, okay, that's exactly something you want to strike for. The actors joining in, I feel like they're doing it to support, some of their good friends and, maybe, relatives who are writers. But I do agree with you. They should still, like, if they've already pre-signed up to do something, they should still stick with it just as a sign of good faith. Because, some people, like, they plan out these conventions, a year to like 2 years in advance.
Yes.
And that's going to be such I'm not going to say a hindrance, but it's going to be such a just horrible experience for people. Like, oh, I planned this whole big thing for the last year, and the person I wanted to like really see it, who helped inspire it, isn't going to be there because of the strike. And for me, I'm like, it's not a sour note, but it's definitely like, come on, the inspiration you hold to people. So you should at least, finish out, the things you've agreed to, and then, hop on board the strike.
Like, it's just, where am I going to go with this? It's just like, it's just dumb. It just feels weird with this whole thing. It's just, I think it's going to be like, with the con stuff, it's going to be the atmosphere is going to have a hole. It's going to have a chunk missing because of this stuff is not there. Because a lot of people go to these cons for announcements, the freaking pool, what's it called? The guest of honor meets and everything. And that people start dropping out because of this thing, things are going to be just shit. That was the one thing, like, with the expo I just went to recently. That was the cool thing. People, like, every day had panels, every day had things going on. You had guests and everything going around and all that junk. It was neat. Awesome. The atmosphere was awesome. And I'm like trying to imagine imagine that without the, what's it called? The guests and like panels and stuff. I think that'd been like 10 times, like, it's gonna be like probably like 25% worse than it was.
Well, speaking of Comic-Cons, we have Iacon in November. You could see us there. You see us physically there.
Yep.
And we're showcasing our movie there, so you should go to that.
Yes.
You should go to that in Fishkill, New York. Maybe we'll get Jerry there. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll get him out. We'll get him out of Tennessee.
Yeah.
Crispy's gonna meet me in Connecticut, and then he's gonna drive the rest of the way.
So you drive all the way to Connecticut.
I just picked Connecticut.
You're almost there. Like, what the fuck? It's like an hour or two away, depending where you are.
I feel like we've been on the BS segment long enough.
Yeah,
we might do a bonus episode just to kind of talk about our personal feelings and things, because I do have some things I want to. I've been putting, pen to paper, just my random thoughts on some stuff.
Yeah, I think we should do bonus episodes. I wanted to talk to you guys behind the scenes about those, so we'll figure all that out.
Yeah.
Be on the lookout. Bonus episode coming next Friday at 12:00 p.m.
What?
Pre-recorded. Man, shut up. But moving on. The meat that we're going to get into is Larfleeze, both the short and the comic series. And as usual, we're going to do the short first. And I'm actually going to take point for this short. So the short that I had the gentleman watch tonight was not Batman, Green Lantern. We've watched a lot of Batman, so it's hard to make the switch. I had them watch Green Lantern, the animated series, episode 23, Larfleeze. And the episode starts off with Hal Jordan, as usual, being chewed out by the Guardians of Oa because of, him letting his AI go rogue, and she has melded with the Anti-Monitor, which is, a universe-ending robot and just a walking catastrophe of epic proportions. And so Razor, the Red Lantern that's with him and Kilowog that they picked up and rescued along the way, he speaks of an old legend that, Red Lanterns, talked about amongst themselves called the Orange Light, which was strong enough to put the likes of Atrocitus, on the back burner and make him afraid of it. And so they go to the planet where the Orange Light is said to reside. And once there, Kilowog tries to talk to Razor because he knows that Razor has feelings for Aya because Aya took the form of his deceased wife. And also that Razor blames himself quite a bit for everything that has happened up to this point. And Hal finds a mysterious vault that does house the Orange Light of Avarice, but there's also Larfleeze, the mysterious boar ferret creature that's hiding in the background. And as Hal gets closer to the Orange Light, he starts seeing, orange constructs. He's starting to succumb to the overwhelming power of the Orange Light. And once back on the ship, Hal begins acting erratically with the Orange Light, saying, "It's mine. You guys are after it. You're not going to take this from me." And then his green suit flashes to an orange suit, and then he makes his way back to the vault where Larfleeze and the Orange Light was, and just dips his fingers in a huge pile of Orange Lantern rings, and he immediately proceeds to fight not only Kilowog and Razor, but also Larfleeze, who is trying to defend his home and his stuff. And as things further progress and whatnot, Kilowog and Razor make a deal with Larfleeze, like, "Hey, we'll get you your Orange Light back, and we'll take Hal." And Larfleeze is like, "What else you got?" And then they're like, "That's the only offer you get." And so they began walking away. And then Larfleeze says, "Okay, you got a deal." And so they begin to fight Hal Jordan, but, combining the power of his... Well, he doesn't combine the power of his green with the orange, but the power of greed is so strong within him that he overwhelms all three of them. And Kilowog is slowly making Hal remember why they wanted the Orange Light to begin with and what they're here to do. And he reminds him of his mission. And remembering all these important details, Hal breaks the hold that the Orange Light has over him and gives Larfleeze back his Orange Light, and they leave the planet because they also see Aya and her fleet of Manhunters destroying stars through the cosmos. So, Chris, what did you think about Larfleeze, the short?
How do I say?
Well, hold on. Before I get into that, have you guys ever watched any episode of the animated series for Green Lantern?
This is my first.
I remember it's like a fever dream to me actually, because every time once I heard the beginning of the show and it was what's his name talking, I remember his voice and how it went. I've seen a few episodes, not that many. So I saw like the earlier ones, not like they're. I don't remember them properly, but I remember how they did the intros, like not the intros, like the beginning, like from last episode, blah 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 blah, and they just did that like setup. I remember that a lot, but I cannot remember details. But it's been a while. The show did come out. I did my research a little bit on it. It came out in 2011.
Which was also when action cartoons began to slowly die off.
Yeah. So like that's basically junior year from us. So
yeah,
high school.
Yeah, this show seemed like it kind of went under the radar. Like I didn't really hear much about it, and like I only got one season, so it's kind of like here and then it disappeared.
Yeah, I think they combined, because I remember watching it and it was listed as season 2, but I'm like, that's weird because all this was coming out at the same time. So I think it was just like a programming error that they made on TV.
Okay.
But it ran for, I think, a year before it stopped. But I picked this episode because, when people think of Green Lantern, the first person they think of is always Sinestro because he's one of the forerunners as one of Green Lantern's villains. They think of Atrocitus. They think of a few other people. Of course, Carol Fairs, his girlfriend, who leads the Star Sapphires. And depending on how deep you go into Green Lantern, people also think of Parallax as well. And, nobody really gives Larfleeze his due diligence and justice, because like I've always known him as Agent Orange before I knew like Agent Orange and Larfleeze were the same person. And I was like, you know what? I think the guys would enjoy learning a little bit more about the one villain who everyone in the universe is kind of terrified of and is willing to make essentially a deal with the devil to protect themselves.
So back to you asking me about this.
Now, yeah, so what do you think about
it? So it's weird. To me, I'm not 100% sold with Larfleeze in this one, because since Jerry has been mentioning this, and since I got back from my little vacation I did, Jerry's been feeding me information. Jerry's been telling me things and basically building up this character. And then I finally watched the short, and I feel like the short doesn't do justice for him.
Yeah, he's kind of like undertoned. Like they kind of the crap out of him.
Yeah, they kind of sweep him onto the mat a little bit. He's kind of comes off more like a scared dog than really anything else. He's kind of like nervous to be there, but he's like, I'm terrifying, but
he's literally like Smeagol. Like he's more pathetic than anything.
And like
he's craving.
He's craving, instead of the ring, he's craving the yellow orange lantern or whatever.
Yeah. And then like the animation is like the 3D style, so like they can do as much. So it's like they can do so much with that at that time with that. So like I kind of get it, but like it's designed for him. Kind of reminds me of Arbiter from Halo. A little bit.
That's also what I was thinking too.
And I'm like, they kind of just like Halo 2 came out in like 2000 and like 4 or 5, and like they kind of just like said, fuck it, let's just steal this. It felt like this design and just add the designs of Larfleeze on him and just sell it like that. But like it kind of just made me like not feel the vibe for him. But like seeing like the Green Lantern turn the orange and do what he does. I kind of liked how they did that, but I kind of wish they didn't like. I wish there was more of a fight than just a realization, because it felt like it was like so quick. It felt quick a little bit with me too with that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely agree because when I was watching it, I was definitely saying to myself, "Man, I wish there was more they kind of did with him because he definitely, not to repeat what we said during the Smallville episode, but he definitely fit the bill of just a freak of the week.
Mm-hmm.
He was here, he was there, he was done. They, I think they make mention of him one other time during the series. I can't really remember because they do mention more so, outside of the greens, they make mention of the red lanterns, blue lanterns, and the star sapphires
Mm-hmm.
because if you watch the show, their AI, Aya, she is what she is basically what Larfleeze should have been in this episode. Just a destruction
Menace.
to a menace. Just a walking fuck you to the
That's
world.
another thing is with this episode, I felt like Josh for once because get the smirk off because like we get jumped into an episode where a plot's happening and shit's a lot of things happening and like the crucial like key
we
things
definitely
are
missed
going
this
on.
section.
Yeah, and it's just like okay, but we're going here now. But what the fuck happened to the AI? Like, what is this?
I'm not gonna spoil it in case you guys do decide to go back from episode 1 to watch all the build up to that point. But let me just say this: Hell hath no fury.
Okay.
Like a woman scorned. Hell hath no fury.
Like I was going to watch like the earlier episode before this, but I had to read the comics. So
yeah.
And the earlier episodes, they they definitely don't focus. They focus more on the Red Lanterns because the Red Lanterns were going around killing all the GLs, and that was a big problem for I think 10 or so episodes. And then, like I said, this series was the last of the action cartoons. So they were just kind of going through and giving us not all the important ones, but, all the Lantern cores that they actually could. Because we see blue, red, orange, green. I think we see the Sinestro core very briefly in an episode. And the Star Sapphires. So, we don't see the Indigo tribe at all, but they don't ever really make an appearance in the comics unless it's something that's about to end the universe.
Oh, so the last resort. Those are last resort people. Got it.
What do they do? They're like, what's their ability? Like, I know orange is greed, green as well, red is anger.
Indigo tribe is compassion. And this is just, I don't want to get too much, off subject, but
you're a Green Lantern expert.
I wouldn't say expert, but I've definitely
out of the three of us, you are.
But the Indigo tribe is, out of all the cores, the most unique because instead of being chosen by the ring, their tribe has a parasitic staff that they use, and they can force you to join.
What? Oh God, you're gonna be part of the group, bitch.
Yeah,
you don't have a choice. And once you join them, you forget, your sense of self. You essentially join a hive mind.
Oh God! So basically, you just lose your.
So they're like all their brains are connected, like.
Kind of, sort of. It's weird because some of them do still retain sentience, but others definitely it's like hive mind. Like they're just mindless drones just going through the motions of what the leader wants.
Okay.
That sounds cool. Okay.
But it oh yeah, go. Somebody had a question?
I was just gonna say, like, with the animation, Matt kind of dwelled on it. Like, it's kind of like that boxy animation. It kind of reminded me of the Star Wars. What is it called? Clone Wars stuff.
Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Yeah, I like this animation more than Clone Wars. I think it worked more with Green Lantern stuff, just because
Yeah,
you
for
know, like
everything that they try to do with, the energy constructs and then how some of the characters, are designed. I definitely agree with how this
yeah,
animation style fit.
yeah, with the designs and like I don't know, like I feel like action figures like designs work with superheroes more than like Star Wars characters, you know? So I'm like, okay, Green Lantern could be a Buzz Lightyear, that's fine. It didn't really bother me. But like I don't know, for some reason like it kind of throws me off with like Star Wars characters, like, you know. So
Oh no, I definitely understand what you mean.
hmm.
And there's another reason that I picked this. If I don't know if you guys remember, but it was when we did the interview um what is his name? I think Sherbert from the Secret Saturday Superman show.
Oh, yeah, Steven.
Steven, yes. So I picked this as kind of my reference because Josh, you've got the Superman animated series. Chris, you got the Batman animated series. This was also directed by Bruce Timm, who's done all of those as well. And it like I said then, I do feel like if this show would have come out, earlier than when it did, it would have been more successful. And we
I
would
think
have had,
so, yeah.
more than just the one season where we see a little bit of, each person, when we could have focused, entire episodes on, okay, the GLs are going to deal with the threat of atrocities. Now we're going to have the GLs and the Blue Lanterns deal with Sinestro. And then we're going to have some poor, unfortunate soul stumble into the Forbidden Sector and they have to make a new deal with Larfleeze because Larfleeze is batshit crazy. I didn't get a chance to send it to you, Josh, but I sent Crispy more of an informational video on the kind of person and how powerful Larfleeze is. But we can, I can send you that after the episode so you can watch that at your own
That'd
leisure.
be cool. Well, so, like, did this show come out the same year the movie came out? Because I think they're both
I think
2011. I
I
wonder
think
if
it came
that's,
out a
like
year later.
oh, okay. I wonder if that's what hurt the show, because like, no one liked that movie, so they're like,
I
"Oh,
do
Green
definitely think
Lantern,"
when
like, kinda
people
put a
heard
bad
like,
taste
oh,
in
Green
everyone's mouth.
Lantern the animated series, here
Yeah.
comes Ryan Reynolds again to mess something
Um,
up.
hmm. Trying to remember.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was
I mean, Ryan Reynolds is now Deadpool, and he's hanging out with Wolverine, which we didn't mention in BSBS, but
My headphone disconnected. I didn't hear. What'd you say, Josh?
he was kind of breaking up for me.
Never mind. Doesn't matter.
I'm
Oh
sorry,
no, I'm sorry,
but
dude.
I'm definitely curious to see what did you guys think of having a Red Lantern working with two of the big name Green Lanterns, and I can say this and it won't spoil the show. Razor is a pivotal character in a lot of different moments because he does not only just save the day, but he also makes some big growths as a Red Lantern, which doesn't happen, too often because Red Lantern's whole deal is absolute carnage and rage.
I kind of got. I don't. The vibe of him was different because he's a robot, isn't he? Like
No,
no, he's not. He just felt robotic to me. Okay. So I don't know. He felt different because like you said, like the Red Lanterns are chaos and destruction and anger and all that stuff. He didn't give us that in this episode. He was more depressed and out of tune of what he was supposed to be, and more. Hello, doggo.
Pupper.
And and like he's so out of tune of what that is. Like I haven't seen him like I said, I haven't seen the show since it launched, basically. So I don't remember anything of him that much. So like if I had if he was like that in the beginning before we got him to this episode that we're watching, Like, was he angry or anything, like, or destructive? Because it just this one, he's just mopey. He just wants to get the job done so he can save his friend.
There's not much I can say because the reason that he is a Red Lantern does play into his character growth throughout the series and at the end.
What, he become
But
Megatron?
as a Red Lantern, he definitely is extremely empathetic, and he's not so quick to pull the trigger, so to speak, to kill.
Yeah,
he's more so, especially after joining Kilowog and Hal Jordan, he's more so, let's just capture them and, use them as bargaining chips or get information from them. He's more so like, I don't want to kill. And that was weird. And it's there's a big reason why he doesn't want to do that. And I don't want to spoil it for you guys.
Like the Red Lantern I know the most is the guy that runs around with the cat.
Atrocitus.
Atrocitus.
That's the one I know, and he's just destructive. That's all I know of him. That's like,
I know there's a point where Supergirl turns into a Red Lantern, isn't that right?
Yes, really? That is correct. And she was, if you thought Worldbreaker Hulk was terrifying, Supergirl with a Red Lantern ring was the most insane thing I've ever read.
Was she like a villain, or like what happened with that?
So with a Red Lantern ring, it brings out your innermost rage, and it always keeps you at that point. So technically, yes, it does make you a villain, but it's also more so you're under the charm of the ring. So even if you have the choice to, not kill or do anything of that nature, but the stronger your rage, the more you're going to be in the field of, okay, I'm just going to vomit napalm blood and I'm going to rip these people in half like a Twinkie.
What?
Yeah.
But like, what is Supergirl's like? What is her like anchor in that? I really don't.
She lost her planet.
Oh,
it's been a long time since I've read that, so I don't remember any of the details. But it was.
Was that New 52 or was that something else?
I want to say that was New 52, but it might have been New 52 Rebirth.
Oh, I still haven't read that Rebirth.
You don't have to.
There's some I want to read, like the whole, what's it called? Watchmen stuff, where they kind of tie that into the DC universe. That sounds like pretty interesting. I do want to read that, but I have to read Watchmen to read that.
I read the graphic novel for Watchmen. That was really good. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, I know like Dr. Manhattan kind of like fucks with the DC universe, and then like he's like toying around with all the DC villains. I know like Superman has a big part in it, where so like that sounds like pretty interesting. I heard it was really good, so I do want to read it, but
I'd recommend
a lot. I have to read before I even get.
I'd recommend that, like personally. I wouldn't do that for the podcast because it is a lot.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I just looked up the Red Lantern Supergirl.
Yeah.
It's just like, what the hell? It's cool. It's just like different. There's a spot here.
I think that's actually kind of more interesting, her as a villain, than like anything. I could see that.
Yeah, because as a Red Lantern, they have a more unique physiology because of their ring. And it that's something I can, share with you guys after the podcast, because I want to get back on track with Larfleeze and everything.
All right.
But Red Lanterns do have a lot of more unique characteristics about them, but that's with every Lantern Corps. But for them, theirs is definitely what I find the most interesting, because it gives them a big advantage in a lot of situations.
Did Sauron make all the rings for each corps?
No. Funny enough, Atrocitus is the one who made all the Red Lanterns himself.
Oh, okay. That's kind of cool.
Like he invented their blood right ritual. I'm not going to get too much into that either, because that's a whole nother comic series that I would like to do in the future. Maybe break it up into parts because I think that's a pretty long series if I remember right.
I just want to see if this works. Oh, it's like a tiny little image.
That's
it's
the
worse
one I
than
just
Matt's.
showed you guys.
Yeah.
It's worse than Matt's image.
Mine was better. No, I actually read a panel from it. Actually, I was looking through it, and it finds out.
Wow, Matt, you're not even listening to us.
I was
what
listening.
A jerk.
But it's funny how I was saying like, was she angry about the maker like this way, and you like lost her planet? And Superman brings it up. It's like it doesn't give you the like losing your planet is bad. I understand it's terrible, but you can't bring it back, and that's the reason. One reason why she's angry as hell and gets the red ring. So, and she's telling him like how, and she's like talking to the Superman like, I like being a like I can't get the ring off ever, and this is how I am stuck this way. But being a Red Lantern is not that
bad.
There's
2 different ways to get it off, but I'll tell you guys that later.
Well, the way she's going with it, she can't get it off right now in this whatever panel this part is in. And Superman's like, well, you've been telling me you want to be alone. I've been trying to, be a good cousin and shit, but you want to be left alone. So this makes like it kind of works for you. like he's kind of like accepting but not accepting it at the same time. Like vibe. He's like, it's not good to be a Red Lantern, but this is how you've been like for a bit. So I get it. So it's kind of interesting though. From that one spot,
I would check that out. It sounds like I think it is New 52. Looking at the images,
it does look like it's from seeing Superman's outfit. It kind of looks like he's part of the 52 zone, but it's not that. I don't know. I'm thinking one like some other costume, like is more. Was it the what's it called? Shoot, I'm thinking more in the Injustice styled one. That's kind of like modeled after like the New 52 stuff. I was thinking more of that style than what I saw here.
Yeah, sorry, Jerry. I'm sorry we keep jumping off.
No, I was going to say, if you guys wanted to give your final thoughts and review, I wanted to get more into the Larfleeze comic because there's a lot more to, dissect.
Oh, there's a lot going
on. I'll go for it. I
go for it.
So with this episode, I like it, but it's too like Larfleeze is not like it just feels like it's like not really about Larfleeze that much.
No.
He's just small, like a smaller part to it. It's just they need his lantern. That's really why he's there anyway. So like if that lantern wasn't a thing, if he wasn't attached to that thing, Larfleeze, this shouldn't be titled Larfleeze at all. It should be just titled The Seek of the Orange Lantern. Like it shouldn't be like he's just they kind of just make him something, then they drop him down the size, and Hal becomes the actual real like enemy here because he gets possessed, and basically with the ring stuff, like the rings, I see the rings as corpses to me because Larfleeze kills his people, whoever joins his core, because he's obsessive over this lantern. So I just feel weird. It kind of gives me now to think about it, it's eerie that Hal's wearing basically corpses on his hands. But like it just like it kind of like separates. It just feels like it doesn't. This episode doesn't look very blonde him. I wish he was more of a bigger threat. I wish he was more like outgoing than he was in the episode. I would give this more of like a 6 for me. If he was more of like if it was more focused on him, I would probably like give it a higher rating. But it wasn't. It just like felt off. I need to connect more to this episode. I need to watch a few more episodes to connect to it even more. It felt like too. So because we just got dropped
we all
into
can do a watch party.
We will. I have a feeling. But it was like I like the animation wasn't horrible. The story wasn't bad. It was just slightly lacking to that character. That's all it was to me. It just like I'm just gonna give it a 6 at the moment. For now.
What'd you give it?
A 6 out of 10.
Yeah, that's very fair.
Yeah, I would probably agree with Matt. I would give this a 6 as well. I actually like the animation. Like I said, I think the toy look works for superheroes, like the boxy look,
Mm-hmm.
and like it's still Bruce Timm, so you could still see like, you know, the design of like the jaw lines and everything, especially like Hal Jordan. Like he looks
The
like
boxy
if they
chest.
yeah, yeah, exactly. If they like made that 2D, like you could totally see it fitting in like, you know, the Justice League animated series and all that. So like I think it kind of works. It almost looks like they took, the Justice League animation and just like ripped it out and like made it 3D animation, like converted it that way. And I think it really works. Like it would be cool if they continued it on and like showed other characters in this kind of design too. Like if they had like, a Batman cameo or like Superman and stuff, but like it was
I
still kind of like tied into the animated universe. I think that would have been a kind of cool concept. But like since it only lasted like one season, there's not much you could kind of go with that kind of stuff, like play around with it. I think they're just starting to play around with different concepts, like with this episode with Larfleeze. It seems like they're more focusing on the Red Lanterns because that seemed like the biggest threat, at least from what
Yeah,
Jerry
the
was
Red
saying.
Lanterns were a very big threat early on.
Yeah, and in like the context of what they're saying in the show, they're like, "Oh, they took on the atrocitus. That must have been, you know, whatever, like a big ordeal." Um, I do agree with Matt. Larfleeze was like barely in the show. He remind me more of like Smeagol, like a pathetic, creature than anything. But like, he obviously killed all the other Orange Lanterns. So like, you would think he would have a bigger power base, instead of like being so easily taken out by the few Green Lanterns that were there. Yeah, but overall, I enjoyed it. There's like some chunks of the story I'm missing, so like, yeah, I would agree with Matt and go with the 6. There was one image like when he's like holding all the rings. Yeah, I could share it with you guys. Like it reminded me of that
which
comic
Oh
book
yeah, where
when
he's
he's like holding
holding all
like
the
all the
rings, and they pulled
yeah.
that image from when he did the same thing with all the green rings.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see if I could share that with you guys. But like, yeah, I thought that was really cool how they did that. Let's see, I could put that on the screen. Yeah, here's a comic book image. Of course, it's
oh
super
god,
dinky,
Yep,
but that's like the
that's the one.
original. Yeah. So like, it was definitely like paying homage to that. Oh, we got both of them.
wow,
I didn't even
Josh.
mean to do that, but that worked. That worked out. So there you go.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool how they like had that homage. Ooh, how do I fix the screen now? Okay, there we
Oh, there you go.
go. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
but yeah, I'm definitely going to agree with what Josh and Crispy said. I'm going to give this episode a 6 too. I do think it's a good way to introduce Larfleeze into the series. Like, just
Mhm.
putting a name to the face of the character and then sparking that question like, well, is he really this, much of a punk? Like, is Larfleeze really
Right.
that weak of a character? And then, once you start looking into him, as we're gonna, see further into the comic that we're gonna get into shortly, Larfleeze is one of the strongest just not only persons, but lantern cores. Because
It's a one-man show.
like Crispy said, Larfleeze does kill every other person who is a member of his core, and their soul gets added to his ring, which I guess is a little bit of foreshadowing to what we're going to be talking about next. So that was a slight spoiler, but
Oh
it
no.
is but Larfleeze definitely was underutilized in a very poor way because one thing we know about Hal, he's going to do things his own way. He's going to bring human justice into the cosmos. And so you have a person like Larfleeze who the only thing they know is everything belongs to me. And if you take something of mine, I'm going to kill you and take back double.
Mm-hmm.
He's very eye for an eye with interest. And in this episode definitely did make me want more out of him. I do still love the animation style. Everything was like it brought back that nostalgia of as a kid, watching Batman the animated series, Justice League Unlimited, Superman, and even Teen Titans a little bit. with some of the action sequences and how they were dealing with, very serious topics, like how Kilowog talked to Razor about, his, depression, trying to get him to open up and, express himself more, verbally and vocally. It was Larfleeze was definitely a secondary character in this whole episode. Not even a secondary, he was a support character to just help prove a point of, how big and badass how Jordan can be when he's got his mind focused to something, which we all know because of what we've seen, through so many other forms of media. And personally, I feel like it would be a lot better since, well, I don't know now because, DC is owned by Discovery or whatnot, not owned by Discovery, but
Warner Brothers?
HBO is owned by Warner Brothers Discovery. That's what I was going for, Warner Brothers. And Warner Brothers, does a lot of their animations and whatnot. I feel like now would be a good time to kind of give Green Lantern its due diligence. And I know we've gotten, a lot of better things in some of the newer DC animated movies and whatnot, but Green Lantern's never just had his chance to stand alone and make his mark on the world.
Yeah,
and I feel that, oh, go ahead, Josh. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel for me, especially, I'm a big Green Lantern fan because with each Lantern Corps, you can see the humanity. Like, okay, this is relatable in a lot of aspects because even though through all the good that the Lanterns try to do, they still make a lot of mistakes and have to deal with those consequences personally on a much grandiose scale than just I made a mistake and I have to live with the consequences. It's I made a mistake. It cost, this whole planet or solar system the lives of several thousands to millions of people, and I have to live with that on my conscience for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I mean, he had a few like solo animated movies that like came out recently. I think one came out last year. So like he has a few
it was
Beware
My Power.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart.
I think it's Jon Stewart.
I think it's Jon
I think
Stewart.
It was too. I mean, out of the Green Lanterns, he's my favorite. I like Jon Stewart just because, like, I grew up with the Justice League Unlimited, or so like that was like my first introduction to Green Lantern. So he was my favorite. But I think they're all cool. I think Guy Gardner is going to be in the new universe. They're going to go with that route. So I think Nathan Fillion is playing him.
Yes, that's right. I did see that. That was the other news I had.
Yeah, that was all the news. Yeah, there's a bunch of casts that was announced. Nathan Fillion is Green Lantern. Guy Gardner. I think they announced Hawkgirl is going to be in the new universe, and like a bunch of other characters as well. So that was like something we should have mentioned during the BS segment, but that's okay.
Whatever. But I do want to jump back to what Jerry said with like Larfleeze like coming back as like another like in a series. Like if this series went further, if like than it did, like him coming back as another like a character again, I kind of like wish they'd change his design in it like a little bit, because like seeing him like I like his design in the comic books a lot better than what they gave him in this, because
I almost like this better, to be honest.
I don't know. It's just like it just looks weird. Like to me, like now I'm so after reading the comics, I'm so like I feel like I like the design a lot better because it feels more like his presence feels a lot better from seeing what we already seen already in the short, and it'd be like his presence. We never really saw him standing up straight. We always see him in a crouch position.
Like I said, he was like Smeagol.
Yeah, so like it would just feel weird seeing him trying to be a big bad, but he's always crouched.
Yeah, I get that. I just like the face a little bit more because it looked more like alien. It looked more alien and not like as ferret-like, So that's why I kind of like the animated one more because it looked more like an alien. But
okay, but
I can understand.
Like for him to become a big bad, I feel like they have to modify his posture and being a little bit just to give him like that new tone. Because whatever we just got in this episode doesn't scream big bad to me.
No, definitely not.
No.
So at the moment,
But now we can get into what I've been waiting because Crispy's been sending me screenshots and he's just been telling me, dude, this is insane. We will now be discussing Larfleeze the comic. And I want Matt Crispy to lead us in the gospel of Larfleeze.
Good God. How do we even start this fucking shit? So, like, I'm not going to lie. I got the comic on Comixology. I use these points on Amazon to get it for free, basically.
So you have a hard copy, or
no?
Is it like
I have
digital?
the digital edition on my phone.
I see.
So the website that Jerry sent us puts the comics out of order to what the graphic novels did.
Wait, are you serious?
Yes, the graphic novels is different to what the website gave us. It's off-putting, a little weird, but like they kind of start us off with the actual him, and like the website they kind of actually start us off in like what's it called? I think it's the third issue in, and they're sitting on basically a space rock just floating out there, and they're discussing his origins.
Right.
Technically, in the beginning of the actual graphic novel, it's literally him and Stargate. Like he has him locked up, Stargate locked up and everything, and he's saying, "You're gonna write the book of Larfleeze," and that's where it begins, and it takes on from there. So basically, Larfleeze is basically forcing this gentleman that his aka Butler is gonna write his life, and he doesn't. This man has been alive for billions of years, so his memory of himself is so blurred up and blended that he doesn't actually know things. So he basically, when he's telling him the stories, he's basically telling him this made-up universe of his own, of how he believes it as. But he makes it so short. But it goes onwards to have somebody's deciding, in the midst of that happening, somebody is interrupting his time at his little base he had, and Larfleeze flees away, and as Larfleeze flees away, somebody comes by and takes all Larfleeze stuff, steals all of his goodies and his lantern and everything, and knocks out his butler Stargate. Am I saying that name right? Is it Stargate or
I think so.
Yeah.
So Larfleeze ends up coming back, trying to figure out where his loot is, and so he basically goes on a rampage, trying to figure out who took his stuff. He ends up going to bounty hunters, everything, trying to figure it all out, and ends up finding out that his ring is malfunctioning, and all the trapped souls within his ring is starting to manifest without him actually allowing to manifest, and they start attacking and wreaking havoc because of, I forget the name of the one. It was his old overseer that would basically be his butler now. She wants the revenge of Larfleeze killing her, but he doesn't remember killing her because Larfleeze's brain is so blended up in his greed mode that it's screwing everything up. So she actually makes a plan that she manipulates him while he sleeps after she gets out of the ring and tells him, "Take your stuff, destroy your stuff." And he ends up going into a trance, dresses up actually in this stealth suit, steals his stuff, and destroys all of his treasures that he's been collecting all over the years. Even his lantern core, he ends up destroying it. And as we go further down the road, he still doesn't believe in all of this, and he ends up having to fight all the manifesting souls that's in his ring, and he ends up finding a the Lord of the Hunt, and he ends up fighting off his Hellhound, and ends up fighting him also. And as he's fighting him and everything, basically he kind of gets his ass. It's kind of like a standstill for a bit. Then he gets his ass handed to him in a way, and you end up discovering right before that. I kind of jumped a little bit. We end up discovering that him and Stargate have realized that Larfleeze is actually now a living battery of his lantern because he's been hugging that thing for so long. The radiation of the lantern has been absorbed in him. And Jerry explains that the best. Can you explain that a little bit before I go further?
Wait, what do you need me to explain?
The hugging.
How he's more of a battery than his fucking lantern is now. It was.
So to give a little bit of context on Larfleeze, he's been around his battery for so long. He's just it's essentially like radiation. He's absorbed so much of it within him because, like Crispy said, he's billions of years old. And to my knowledge, he's been the first wielder of the orange light for a very long time, in fact, because he does, kill everyone else that does become an orange lantern, that he essentially can, like with all the Green Lanterns, Blues, and everyone else, he can fight essentially forever without his energy ring depleting. Like, he stays at 100% constantly.
It's fucked up. It's a walking nuclear plant. But that's actually pretty neat that his energy doesn't affect other people, just him more. That's like the weirdest thing. I feel like it should radiate out to some people than it does. But so back to the comic series. So after he fights the Lord of the Hunt, he ends up getting captured and getting sent to his Lord Hunt's basically his little base he likes to have, but he likes to stay constantly moving. But this is like his little I'm gonna stay put for like a day or two thing. And he wanted Stargate he took Stargate with him, and he wants him to basically hack up all the dead corpses of his hunts and stuff them. And he wanted them to basically do that to Larfleeze too, but Stargate actually frees the Larfleeze, and out of nowhere, Lord of the Hunt's sister aunt person comes around the Wanderer, and she ends up screwing up everything and takes freaking Stargate because supposedly Stargate is hers, and she flees the scene, and they end up Larfleeze ends up destroying the hideout and killing more of Lord of the Hunt's favorite pets, and he ends up chasing her off, and it finds out there's a whole bigger addition to what's going on, because now it's basically I would like to call them like the elementals, but the 10, I can't remember their name. The 10, Jerry, what's their
douchebags? 10 what? They're the 10 douchebags.
Okay, the 10 douchebags.
That's what they are. They're douchebags. Let's not sugarcoat it.
Yeah, they are. They're a horrible fucking family. They're basically cross-dimensional beings that represent different sorts of like desires and like elements and like stuff. So they end up going into depth with talking about what the fuck's happening, and they have an enemy that actually followed them to this new dimension because the dimension they were in fucking collapsing because they're all assholes and they keep destroying their fucking dimensions. And as this is happening, Larfleeze is trying to find Stargate, because he wants his butler back. His only thing he has in life now. He is now on the run again. So he's going to go find her. The last coordinates he ends up getting, he goes to a robot planet, and he ends up running into the Lord of the Hunt and Wanderer's two sisters, basically wrecking this planet because one of them decided to take over the robot civilization, and Larfleeze ends up basically destroying one of them with his mind, because all he has in his mind is mine, and the other one did not want got hit. Like they end up doing a small little battle, but didn't want to see what the hell was going to happen to her because of what happened to the other one. I think the other one's despair, and so they end up fleeing. And Larfleeze ends up becoming the king of this robot fucking planet and gets all the gold and stuff from there. And then he realizes what he has to get is his Stargate. And so he leaves that planet and goes chasing. And then we keep going back to more of the bigger picture and everything of what's happening with the elemental, with the family, and how much chaos they're going with. And then we end up going from what's it called? Larfleeze ends up finding another planet. Oh my god, there's so much. So much. So Larfleeze is basically just chasing and chasing just to get this quick. And he ends up getting picked up by a girl, one of the sisters, the one that basically is like Aphrodite to everybody. She makes everyone fall in love with her. And she's like, "Oh, you're the orange monkey creature everyone's talking about." Is for some reason everyone thinks he's a monkey, and she takes him. So she ends up taking him to the family to get it over with. But she knows he's more of a menace than actually what he. Oh yeah, wait, I skipped a whole giant gap. He ends up being enslaved by because of the Wanderer deciding to get rid of him. She unlocks his ring and manifests everybody's souls back to reality again. They're all living again.
She has energy conversion.
Yes, and he gets enslaved for about feels like a week or two, by his old old Orange Lanterns core members, and he kind of goes from a high to his low point, to his mom basically slapping him back into reality thanks of his mind freaking manifesting her spirit in a different form of what he believed that she was like back into reality, and he unlocks his true power of what he actually can do, and basically does how freaking Jordan does in this the animated short. He ends up gaining all the orange rings from all of them and destroying stopping them and leaving them on the planet by themselves to basically starve to death. And then leaves and then ends up getting captured by the sister, that's basically Aphrodite. And they try to end everything with him, but she knows he's a menace than what he actually is, and he ends up fighting all these siblings, and he ends up beating up the one that's the all-knowing Exmoor.
Yeah, I think it's Exmoor. It's weird trying to pronounce
his
name.
Yeah, and he ends up fighting him, now. And he's supposed to be the big bad of all of them, but Larfleeze ends up basically beating the shit out of him so much, he ends up saying the doctor's in session and has him laying on his back, fucking chained up, and he ends up drilling a hole into his head because he believes he can get whatever the power that this man has of all knowledge of everything, the ability to create anything from him. His brain is the access point for that. Ends up, no, it's not. He's like, nothing came out. Okay, fuck it. Ends up going back. That guy ends up turning himself into a fucking bug. The sister saw him and slaps him and kills him, and he ends up turning into a fucking tree and gets killed by the natives on the planet he's on.
Ewoks.
Because
those are Ewoks. You know they're Ewoks.
They're the bald Ewoks. But as all this is happening, Larfleeze actually wrecks basically the structure that they're in, and destroys beats up all the siblings, and then goes and flees back for freaking Stargate because he knows he's missing now. And the siblings all get out of the rubble and say, we got to make a new plan. And we gotta stop this man. And then they end up making a plan to go back to that robot planet. And the robot planet, they end up making a trap, and they end up going teleporting back to the planet to this other spot where the Wanderer end up leaving the battle with Stargate to go get married to their father. It's weird. And so they end up taking Stargate from her at that point and uses him for the trap so they can go get Larfleeze, so they can basically kill or send him into a different dimension and stop the madness of him. And as this is all happening, the robots do remember kind of prior they have a beacon to summon a Green Lantern. And as this is happening, the Green Lantern gets summoned, ends up showing up, and he kind of starts he's like a wrench into their plan of trapping Larfleeze. And as this is happening, as the Green Lantern recognizes what's happening, he ends up fighting all of the siblings kind of hit by himself in a bit, and Larfleeze ends up showing up because the Wanderer shows him the way to this planet. There's so much. And they end up just basically doing a final battle, and it doesn't, the outcome of it isn't, it's crazy, but at the same time, it's kind of like smolders down to the siblings all decide to surrender, and Wanderer takes the siblings to the enemy that they have. That's basically a council. They can't make a decision up by them all together, and they have to sit. Basically, they're going to be sitting there for millions of years, waiting for a decision on what the fuck's going to happen to them. And Larfleeze finds out he is the long lost cousin of the Green Lantern that comes up twice removed of this Green Lantern that showed up to save the day. And the fun thing is the Green Lantern is kind of a misfit, so he's actually proving himself in this fight, basically, that he's more than a misfit because he is holding his ground. He does have his moments of him having these issues, like him being like not the most capable, but he is doing his job. But Larfleeze ends up making him his sidekick. And that's basically how it ends. They leave Stargate in the fucking rubble in this fucking blue bubble. So if anyone wants to add some information that I left behind, please do.
You forgot that Aphrodite wanted to have Larfleeze as children?
Oh, gosh. Oh, God. Oh, yeah, that too. And the Wanderer wants to be his bride, and he's like, I don't want cooties.
I just had to poke fun a little bit. I know what Matt has thought about it. Josh, I'm curious to hear what you thought about all of that.
So okay, now it makes sense because Matt just revealed that there's a lot of context I was missing, like that whole beginning section that you were just mentioning, that like his butler was writing a book or whatever, and like how all his trinkets were taken from him. Like I gathered that much, like his gold was taken from him, because that's where like the story started with me with that website. And that whole ending that you're mentioning, that I didn't get to read that. Like I just got to see it ended with like they revealed like the Green Lantern, and then it just kind of, that was it. That's how it ended. Like so I missed a lot of context, and I don't think I seen that part where the Ewoks in the tree. I think I would remember that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so there's like, I feel like there's like a few holes that were missing for me, but like all in all, I thought it was interesting. I liked his backstory. Like I like the part where his species is basically like a bunch of like farmers, and like his mom was like working in the fields and just like gave birth to him, and was like, her umbilical cord was just dragging him through the fields like while she was still working. Like that was super brutal and kind of disturbing. I'm like, wow, they could get away with like a lot of this like grotesque imagery in comics. Like this could never slide like in a a movie or a cartoon or anything like that. Like I feel like you could get away with that kind of thing in comic books. Larfleeze, let's just get this out of the way. Like he's an idiot. Like he's super stupid, and like it's I mean it's funny. It works. Like I like how the butler's like the smarter of the two. I don't know. Like there's a part two where not the butler was getting recruited by like the Cosmos girl. I don't know what her name was. So like she's like basically saying, yeah, you could join me, but I have to castrate you or change your gender because you're going to be dressing me and like, taking care of me, and I don't want your manhood to get in the way. And then like he eventually like talks her into not doing that. And like I thought that was interesting. I'm like, you know what? I guess like, it makes sense. Like if there's someone taking care of those kind of assets, like as a male, like that would kind of get in the way. So like it makes sense from her standpoint. So I don't know. I thought it was just like interesting that they mentioned that. I'm like, okay, interesting. What else? There's something else I wanted to mention. They kept like flipping to Earth, and it was like a news segment, and I was like trying to figure out like what was the point of that. Did you like? It kept like going from the Larfleeze section, and then it was going to Earth with like an alien.
Oh
and,
yeah, and it was like this weird news broadcast.
Yeah.
I think that was just like a little side thing that was going on. I don't think it was relevant at all.
Mm-hmm. That's what I figured, because it mentioned it like seemed like it was going like ahead in the future. Like there's a moment where it was like in the New 52 universe, like it was actually going like cohesive with what was going on in New 52, because there was a moment where Wonder Woman is like fighting, I think Ursa and General Zod, and that happened in New 52. I actually read that comic book where like Superman and Wonder Woman are dating and they're fighting General Zod and Ursa. Like they land on Earth, and that was pretty cool. So I was like, oh, okay, that's an interesting tie-in. I'm like, is that going to connect to this at all? I thought this was going to kind of build up in like those two stories, like the Earth and the Larfleeze story was going to like kind of connect at the end, but it didn't. I was like, okay, what was the point of that? So I was just curious, like, what was the reasoning behind that? But it seemed like it was
that was just a little side thing that they were doing, because I forgot it was like a broadcast for other things that were happening in New 52 comics.
But it seemed like it was like progressing in the future, like it was like in modern times, and then it like jumped to like year 3000 or something. So I was wondering if that was like how long this chain of events happened for Larfleeze, because he's like billions of years old. So like I was like wondering if that was like kind of showing the timeline, like where he was compared to Earth time.
The thing is, they don't really mention in this comic like time period for him. It's just states
they do with the broadcast. So I was wondering if that's how long it was taking him to get out of these situations, because it like passed like 1,000 years in the broadcast.
Yeah, it was the time span of which they covered in relation to everything else that was kind of happening with the New 52 stuff, that other issues, because with space you have to factor in, okay, they're on this side of space, so the light speed and all the interdimensional travel and whatnot. It was like, I remember reading this originally and I'm like, well, that's weird, I don't really know what's going on. Then I looked into it and I was like, oh, this is just kind of giving us small snippets of what's happening in other issues.
Yeah, so that's what I figured. It was just like tie-ins. Yeah, because like I said, it mentioned that one issue that I actually read. I was like, oh, that's cool, I remember that. That was it. But like I thought it was eventually going to kind of connect to something. But they did show the Green Lantern through that, so I guess that was the loose connection. I don't know. Yeah, Larfleeze is really stupid. I don't know, like he's like very simple. I don't know if I would like I like following him as like a main character per se, like because he has like he's very kind of two-dimensional. Like he doesn't really have that much depth. Um which is kind of like part of his charm too. Like, he's very greedy and like
He's a
everything
simple
is
man.
his. Everything is mine, mine, mine and you know, he
What's yours is
destroyed the
mine.
whole Orange Lantern Corps. I mean, that's like a cool concept, but like, other than that, like he doesn't really have that much depth, So I'm like, okay, like I feel like he's more like a joke character than like a character I would like to follow in anything, because he's just so stupid. I don't know how you guys feel, but
The thing
So
is,
to give a little bit more context in a Larfleeze's character, it like I mentioned before with the Indigo tribe. So there's out of all the Lantern cores, there's only 2 cores that are essentially parasitic in a sense. Because, like I said, with the Indigo tribe, they can force you to join regardless if you want to or not. And with the Orange core, it is a parasitic type, but more so you yourself already have to be somewhat of a greedy person because there is a point in time where Larfleeze does lose the orange ring. And even while he's under the influence of the ring, it does change his mindset to, everything in the world is mine and I'm going to take what's mine. And when he loses the ring, he still remembers everything, he's done and everything, that has happened since he's had the ring on. And he becomes, extremely horrified to of the thought of having the ring come back on to him, which it does do because, Larfleeze is Agent Orange. And once it does, his mindset switches right back to who he was as, the when he had the ring on previously. So, I do agree. Larfleeze is a very simple character, but part of that does fall into the mindset that the orange light does put onto him, where he's like, "What you got there? Mine." But it's like we see with some of the battle sequences that he does when it comes to being a tactician and having a high battle IQ. Larfleeze is definitely a force to be reckoned with because um, to give more insight on the powers and abilities of just his light in for one example, he can absorb every other color, and that's a big deal because Hal Jordan, even among every like light and energy manipulator, his constructs are said to be some of the hardest and most durable. But the Larfleeze, they're just more fuel to his fire. And the only way to essentially stop Larfleeze is to have a blue lantern because a blue lantern's presence helps diminish the influence of the orange light so he can think, just a little bit more rationally. You can get away with some underhanded negotiations, so to speak, and you can almost have him as a temporary ally if you would even go that far, depending on the situation.
I see. Like, I think I would be more interested in seeing like Hal Jordan or whatever Green Lantern like facing off Larfleeze than like following Larfleeze as a main subject, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, like I feel like this comic was like more comedic than anything, like not to take it too seriously. Which was fun, I think the Butler character, like I probably related with him more than than anything else. Um, because Larfleeze was just so nihilistic and just like individualistic, like he didn't really care about anything else. And the Butler was like, oh, whatever, like just let me out of this situation.
Somebody
So
save me.
yeah, and I don't know. It seemed like he actually had a decent gig with the Cosmos girl. Like he it convinced her not to castrate him. So I was like, okay, there you go. You get to bathe a hot chick, and you could solve your balls. I think that's a good that's a good job. you know.
So Matt,
So
I know you probably have a lot of questions for me, considering I know I have a pretty deep knowledge of all the Lantern cores.
I don't know. I think you answered all my shit. Like I've been asking you since I've been reading this. All right.
Did you know Larfleeze is immortal?
I can tell by how he's like a billion years old.
I
He's
didn't know he
immortal.
was immortal. I thought he had like a
Yeah, that's
time.
some. He does. His species does live for a fuck ton of time because I think, as far as age with the Guardians of Oa, he's right up there with them for being one of the oldest creatures in the universe. But I believe he gets his immortality through the Orange Ring.
That's what like
because uh Larfleeze does take some pretty gruesome beatdowns every now and again, but he always rises back up to the challenge.
That's like the one thing that's in his head. That's like the one thing I noticed with him. Whenever he's in a battle, he's like, you don't get to kill me. I'll let you go when I'm ready to die. I'll let you kill me, and I'm not ready to die yet. So he just continues to beat the shit out of everybody, or just take the smackdown that he gets from them. But he ends up just regenerating back to "I'm alive again" mode.
Mm-hmm.
But when he
Yeah,
does that, he's enraged.
Yeah, he has manipulation over life and death. So, like he said, if he wants to die, he can will himself to die, kind of deal. But since Larfleeze is under the influence of the being who wants to take everything in the world, he's not going to just let himself die. But go ahead.
I'm sorry. Like, this is like the really first thing of a Green Lantern comic series I actually completed. Instead of just getting here and there stuff or like animation here and like shows there of like having a Green Lantern show up. Like, this is actually one that I actually finished through. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of enjoy having Larfleeze. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of enjoy him because of how stupid he is, and the story. But like, it's just like I enjoy a lot of stupid shit. You guys can tell.
We all do.
But thank you, Josh. And I really enjoy this. Like in this comic, and it's really fucked. There's a lot of fucked things, and I want them to go backwards with him more. I want to see his past even further because we got like glimpses of his past. I kind of want somebody or this guy that made this series to pick up where basically he was born as this basically non-wanted kid that couldn't be sold to becoming one of a giant litter of other kids that are around the family. And because they only can sell 6 of their kids, that's the limit of the time period of that the year or something like that.
Yeah, it was something
like that. It's fucked up, but it's I want to see a series of him, his actual backstory, legitimate storyline, up to the part where he loses it properly, because we just get the flashbacks. And I definitely
would like to see Larfleeze, start from a young child and work his way up to the Thieves Guild, and then eventually make his way to what would in the future that we know now be the Forbidden Sector.
Yeah.
Because Josh, this is just a little more information for you. When Larfleeze was a member of the Thieves Guild, he killed his other guild mates and took the orange light for himself and became the all infamous Agent Orange. And when the Guardians were still trying to set up their peacekeeping corps, which they fucked up on numerous times, because I don't know who the bigger idiots are, them or Larfleeze. Because with Larfleeze, you know what you're gonna get. With them, they try to hide all their fuck ups. But they eventually did start making the Manhunters, and then they eventually got to the GLs. But the GLs would go into Larfleeze's space, so frequently, for travel, that he was just killing them and taking the ring so they couldn't find a new host. And the Guardians made a deal with him saying, you can have this entire sector and we won't bother you. And I believe in the video I sent you, Crispy, for a big shout out to Comics Explained, because my brother sent me that video and he asked me a bunch of questions. and it filled me in on some stuff that I didn't know. So I want to, definitely shout out. I think it's Rob Comics. He's a great comic book guy. He does a lot of detailed breakdowns of things. But Larfleeze sent a Green Lantern's body back to Oa with an energy projection of himself saying, "You guys broke our deal, and so now I'm coming to collect." Yeah. And just more information on Larfleeze, because this comic does give you a lot of what he can do, but it doesn't do the deep full dive.
Mm-hmm.
As far as, a Lantern leader and core member, Larfleeze is the only one to have truly mastered his light, so to speak, because, as we know, he has soul manipulation. When he kills people, their souls get added into his ring, and he can summon them from his ring, and they can essentially act independently of him. And so even within that, he can still exert his influence through his undead core members to have them carry out his will and essentially just be in the farthest reaches while still maintaining a high level of, concentration and manipulation of his base constructs.
It's kind of scary. It's kind of scary that this simple-minded creature, well, technically became simple-minded more creature, ends up mastering the skills of this ring over everybody else in the other cores, because you would never think he would actually mastered his fucking ring the way he acts.
And that's another thing too. Like, for how old he is, you would think he would at least, have a bit of intelligence. If any of us was around for a billion years, I feel like we would be masters at like a lot of things. So like for him to be around that long and like have no intelligence is pretty ridiculous.
Like Josh, you said,
Larfleeze definitely fits the bill of extreme warrior but stupid person, because the things he can do like goes even further beyond. He can he has matter manipulation, he has limited reality warping, space manipulation, he has he's resistant to mind attacks, as we saw, and he can even change the weather at a whim.
Like,
is that because of his his lantern power, or is that just because he's old?
I think it might be because of his lantern ring. Once you have a ring, you do gain a list of abilities. But the lanterns do have kind of a set list that they have. But I feel like that's something Larfleeze kind of developed on his own, being as old as he is. And it might be the influence of the parasite that's infected his mind.
But like Josh, like how you're saying, like with him being this old, it's like being greedy as hell by the ring and everything. He technically, like you said, he has Smeagol-ism. He became Smeagol, and he just became so simple. How Smeagol simpled himself too.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, he probably isolated himself and just like stays with his power source or whatever.
But like, I do want this series to get animated myself. I do want to see an animation of it, and not like a huge, not like a movie. I kind of want like a small mini series, just to see.
I think a mini series would be
if they made it like Adult Swim animation and like made it pretty dark. I think it would work.
Like, it feels like it would. Like, I feel like this would actually work a little bit, but like, depending on how it would go, like they would like to take this project to be up to Warner Brothers and everything. But I would see it actually kind of working in a way, because it's not a bad story. It's a good story. There's just a lot of shit happening. That's the biggest problem.
This story does have several moving components, which I does feel take away from some of the impactful moments. Like when, we learned that Larfleeze is, billions of years old, and he's suffering from I guess you could call it psychosis. I don't know how you would properly define what his mental state goes through. Because, being billions of years old, I feel like eventually anyone would just kind of snap. and lose their mind for a long time, But it's also like within his mind, he also has that grounded image of his mother to help bring him back to, what his peak form is. And when he's at that peak form, everyone is fearful of him, as what we saw with the cosmic entities who are essentially gods in, the DC universe.
Yeah.
They had manipulation over all the basic forms of what a lot of people have powers of. And here comes Larfleeze, this dumb boar squirrel monkey thing. And he's like, I see what you got. I'll take that. And if you don't like what I'm saying, I'll chop your head off. And he'll do it and be funny with it.
It's like I don't know. Larfleeze, I don't know. To me, hello, Sophie. To me, I enjoy his character. I kind of wish he was in more things, but you can go as like much as you can with this character because he's such like a broad. The only thing you can really do with this character is go backwards to when he was younger, when he actually had a working brain, because it seems like the way he believes his memory works, he was actually a capable person to think of plans and actually start so-called revolutions, even though his mom made him remember his memories, that actually he was more the tattletale of his, like, when he was enslaved by the aliens that took over his planet. And he was a tattletale to gain ranking of being basically the head honcho of that area.
Yeah, because, he basically eradicated his race by calling everyone out that they're repopulating or going against the rule book that the overlords and invaders
you can have a book
to do. Yeah. They didn't want them to read books or like broaden their intelligence, which kind of goes with history. And like when you're trying to suppress a group of people, you're trying to make them as illiterate as possible so they can't like communicate with each other. So it makes sense that they're doing that,
so, like,
book burnings and all that.
Definitely. And that is something I would also like to see. I'd like to see them go back and show Larfleeze in his younger days, but I'd also like to see, a Larfleeze who is at the end of his species life cycle, and now he has to, essentially find a new host for the Orange Ring, because we've seen Hal be an Orange Lantern, we've seen Kyle Rayner be an Orange Lantern, and temporarily we saw Lex Luthor be an Orange Lantern.
Huh.
That was during Blackest Night. That was absolutely crazy.
I still have to read Blackest Night. That's on my list.
Blackest Night's definitely a good read. It definitely showcases all the strongest points of each Lantern Corps. Okay. And you also get to see Indigo Tribe, who is led by Indigo One, who is the oldest member of the Indigo Tribe and the leader.
Okay.
Yeah. That's been on my list for a while, so I definitely want to read that.
And it I feel like with Larfleeze, the comic, at least, before we said everything that we can say with what this piece of medium has shown us, even though he is a very dim-witted and kind of a numbskull, when he has his mind set to something, he will quite literally break and move mountains to get what he wants. And in a villain, I do like that, because sometimes you get tired of the highly intelligent and cunning villains who have all these fancy gadgets and foolproof plans. And sometimes it's nice to just see a simple man go on a simple mission to just take something with a little bit of resistance, but he just uses overwhelming force to just get what he wants.
I would like to see like a whole, like, if they're gonna move on with Larfleeze, if like kind of what to do with this character. Like I would like to see him basically someone or something like Darkseid or something like takes his lantern as like a power source to like fuel this ultimate weapon. Like Darkseid's like planning this whole invasion or some big plan out to take out the whole Justice League, and he's like about to win, and then Larfleeze just shows up and like fucks up his whole plan like out of nowhere, and like in the middle of like this big battle, and then Larfleeze is there and just like decimating everyone and anything like in their way. So like he basically like ruins the plans of like a big like top villain that like actually puts some timing into their plan, and like Larfleeze just goes in there and like fucks everything up. I think that would like
I would love to see Larfleeze with the anti-life equation. I think that would make for a very interesting mini-series, but also a great concept for an animated short.
God, yeah, I think like him having a confrontation with like a big baddie would like really work. Like with someone with intelligence, and then he kind of goes in and like scrambles their plans. I think that would really be an interesting idea.
That's one thing about the 10 like cosmic beings that we had. They weren't that intelligent wise, because I would assume they kind of are, but they hate each other.
They had a lot of wisdom, but not a lot lot of intelligence.
Yeah,
they felt like good gods, like they're envious of each other. You know, they're all siblings.
Yeah,
they're incestuous.
Yeah, it was like that with the Wonder Woman comics. Like they were like kind of butting heads and stuff for the New 52 too. So like, you know, it reminded me of that.
Yeah, like it felt like we didn't really get a big bad 100% because they're always constantly fighting each other, like we're just saying there. And like Larfleeze ends up just picking out the head honcho one, technically the oldest brother, because he wanted whatever was inside of him that makes him the all-powerful, all-knowing, all-creating being he is. And that's what we get out of that whole big fight, is like literally him just giving him the smackdown and then realizing he can't get the goods and fucking going back for the rest of them because he wants everything else they want. I mean, they have and everything. So, like, then like now you're saying like if in my head it's just like so fucking after just saying Darkseid takes his lantern for a battery thing.
Could you imagine?
I think that would be funny.
They would just be like, "I'm going to destroy the world." No, you not. Mine. This is a flying animal.
That'd be awesome.
I think like, that would be a great short series to see.
Or if like Darkseid like manipulates him to like do a slumber thing, because if we pick off from this series, he is the battery now. He is the lantern. He ends up using him as a fucking battery. Like you ever seen like I forget what show it was. Like they end up making. Oh, it's from Gremlins 2 when they make the rats like the batteries, the nuclear batteries. They put them in the light in the flashlight, and then they use him as the source of the power instead. And then out of nowhere, he ends up waking up because he remembers he doesn't get manipulated that easily, and there's like fucking wreaks havoc.
I'd also love to see if the anti-life equation could even work on Larfleeze, because he's under the influence of essentially another cosmic being and power.
I do have this one question for you, Jerry. Before, like, I feel like we're going to get to like our last thoughts here, but what's it called? Behind these lanterns, what is there behind them? Is there a cosmic being, like a legitimate source that's out of this dimension that is feeding his power to those and manifesting these lanterns, or the power to them?
So yes, there is a cosmic being that resides within each power battery, and I'm talking about the great big one.
Oh,
because
the master fucking lantern.
It's not so much the lantern; it's where they get the power from.
Well, I mean, like, because you're saying like the giant, massive one, like the massive battery charger,
the massive battery.
Like, I know sometimes lanterns, like some like Green Lanterns. I remember like some like older episodes of like I think Justice League. They had to bring his or was
John Stewart
had to bring his lantern back. Yeah,
and that's a great example because if you remember in that episode when John was reciting the Green Lantern oath, I believe it was Parallax actually who was saying, you foolish human, that's not gonna work on me. I've been I've been residing within the Green Battery for so long that won't have any effect on me. That is actually true because the Guardians of Oa, in whatever drugs they decided to take, decided to house Parallax, the ultimate weakness of a Green Lantern, in its power battery. So that's why the Green Lanterns have the weakness to fear and that specific yellow color spectrum.
Yeah, that's
that
how
yellow
Batman and
emits.
Robin kicked Hal's ass.
Yes.
What's up with that?
I saw that reel.
Like that weakness, like the weakness of like the color yellow. Like I think that's kind of stupid.
It's because, well, it's a part of the emotional spectrum. Great fear will break willpower.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But that also falls into the Guardians of Oa. They decided to house essentially their fallen compatriot because Parallax was he was a guardian, but as always, some guardians start falling to the wayside, and he was tapping into the yellow energy spectrum, and they were like, "Yeah, we can't have you do that, buddy. So get pushed into this giant nuclear fusion reactor and get bent, nerd." And he was housed in there for a very long time. And within that, he started developing that resistance, to the green willpower and implemented the weakness of fear into it.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Okay. So, like, say, like, Hal Jordan's wearing a yellow shirt. Can he use his green? Can he use his ring anymore? Or...
It is a specific spectrum of yellow that will nullify and make it weaker.
He's so stupid.
That's what I mean. Like, it's
that's
know. That's why I'm
talking. I understand because when I found that short, like that little, when I found that reel of that, because I was looking up so much like lantern stuff, like when Jerry sending me this link, I was watching. I was like, at one point, I was looking for a cheat sheet too to find, like, get through some of this. But I ended up just mowing through it. Jerry witnessed me mowing through this comic book, and I have so much. I ended up finding like reels, and I found that like weakness, and watching like Batman discovering this weakness and paints a whole fucking room yellow and himself yellow to fight Green Lantern because Green Lantern can't do nothing.
If you want a cheat sheet, Crispy, just remember this: green and blue is overpowered. Yellow beats green. Blue is weak without blue. Blue is weak without green. Red has napalm blood and their hearts are in their ring, so if you take the ring off, they die.
Oh
wow.
Blue can nullify the red ring, and pink can also nullify the red ring. Orange and indigo, parasites don't deal with them. But indigo can also tap into the other powers of the color spectrum through what the hell ever means that they have. It's a very weird parasite that they have. They kind of delve into that in the Blackest Night.
I envy you in this knowledge.
And
is this how I sound when I talk about
you're Superman? Yeah. Definitely.
Also, there's two more cores that they're only really used to really signify how powerful certain things are, and that's just life and death. Which is the black is this death and white is life.
Oh, just okay.
And with white, white is essentially white is all the colors combined together, and white can do anything and everything.
Now this reminds me of Jack and Daxter.
Yeah, it's just like that because a white. It's only been a few times that they've had to use and bring in white lanterns. Because of course they had to do it in Blackest Night because Necron was reviving people who were a very, very serious threat to the whole universe. And when they did finally decide to unleash the power of the White Lanterns, it was so amazing because White Lanterns can, essentially bring the dead back to life. They have the power to, nullify the anti-life equation amongst many other things. White Lanterns are essentially your fix all to a very big fuck up that the Guardians of Oa had a hand in.
I have a feeling that you're gonna have this as a pick for us.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard to try to do that because they don't, like I said, they don't use the White Lanterns often.
I mean, like, how big is that series? How many like comics? Let me try to squish somebody.
That's how big it is.
I'd have to look that up.
It's like
this
not novel. It's like a book.
It's like this thick. Yeah, it's
God.
a book.
That's just how big as a freaking one volume of freaking. That's like half the size of a Nightfall volume. Jesus.
But if you guys are ready, we can go ahead and get into final thoughts and review.
Josh, you want to take this one away?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, Jerry, for the Green Lantern show, is there other episodes that you like better than the Larfleeze episodes? Since you gave it a 6 as well, right?
Yes, there are episodes, specifically with the Red Lanterns, and the Red Lanterns were very prominent, and I loved how they did all the build up for Atrocitus. So I'm definitely going to throw that in eventually. I just got to find the right piece of medium to go with it. Also,
Blackest Night.
What else? Also, the introduction of the Blue Lanterns and Saint Walker. That was really cool because he essentially, was on a pilgrimage, and he stumbled upon the blue energy along with, I think it was Ganthet, who is the guardian for the Blue Corps. Yeah, it's Ganthet. Yeah. And, they essentially started the Blue Corps, and Saint Walker does do his due diligence of building up the Blue Lantern Corps. And I think in the show, they only have 3 or 4 members. It's not many, but like I said, when you get a Blue Lantern and a green and a blue and a green together, it opens a whole new wave of power for both because they can, willpower and hope go hand in hand together.
All right, Jimmy Jazz brings up an excellent point. So,
no, Jimmy, no. Get back to Tiny Tina's.
I was gonna say you put the ring on a different apparatus, right? On
a toe.
Yeah, would it work?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's
a planet that's a Green Lantern.
Oh, that's cool.
I hated where this almost went to. I hated where it was actually Josh.
I mean, it could be a nose ring.
I know where Josh and Jimmy's going, and I'm not gonna go any further. And I love how you kind of avoided it, but we almost derailed so bad.
So, the planet one, is it like a whole ring, one of the Jupiter's rings around it? I mean, Saturn's rings around it. Okay,
just like that, exactly.
Okay. All right. Let me finish my final thoughts.
Oh wait, hold on. Before that, Big Booty Dandy actually said, "Can they start a battery?" Meaning
they can just make one.
What does that?
Yeah, I don't know what that exactly.
What that means? Are you talking about a car battery? Like your car died and you just summon a lantern?
White lanterns start batteries.
White Lanterns can just make batteries.
You get a double A, you get a double A, you get a triple, you get a triple C, D.
You get 16 D-cell batteries for your boombox.
All right. I think I said everything I need to say. It's pretty good. It's pretty comedic. I think Larfleeze works more as a comedic character. Like I said, if he was going to appear in another comic book or another issue, I'd rather have him as a side character or or a big surprise. You don't expect them to be in the issue at all, and then he just shows up, and you're like, "What the fuck?" And then it kind of puts the whole story on top of its head. I think it would work that way. I think Larfleeze looked like a Bothan spy from Star Wars. Here, I got him here. I mean, of course, it's super small.
Oh
Of course, super small. I'm like, that's like the first thought that came in my head. I'm like, that's Larfleeze. He's a Bothan spy.
If Warner Brothers bought Lucasfilms, that'd be a neat twist to add Star Wars into his universe like that, like him being like a breed off of that. That'd been pretty nice, crazy.
You could, but like, yeah, it's like you could. DC is, Warner Brothers.
Well, and that's what I mean. If Warner Brothers just was like, was ballsier than Disney, then we could have had that good tie-in in a way.
Yeah, if you could figure something out. I mean, that would be cool.
Because technically, you never know if you think about it. Star Wars starts off in a different galaxy than we are.
They're the same. That's canon now. They're the same.
I would like to, before we go any further, I'd like to read Jimmy's comment with him saying yellow being fear can be ridiculously powerful. So there is a tier list of users who best personify the embodiment of what they want, because in Blackest Night, Scarecrow does become a yellow lantern, and that in itself is a very dangerous thing, because Scarecrow's whole deal is fear.
Yeah.
And with Scarecrow being a yellow lantern temporarily,
that'd be cool.
It was absolutely he was an unstoppable force temporarily.
Like, I'm imagining like Arkham Knight's edition of him being a yellow lantern,
but not a hallucination.
No, just like that, just going around fucking people up. Oh, game over. I'm hiding in a fucking nuclear cellar for the rest of my time, just staying away from the fucker. I'd rather be in my bunker.
That'd be cool.
But Josh, go ahead and finish your final thoughts. I just wanted to shout out that
I'd probably give it the same rating as the cartoon. I'd probably give it a 6, just because the character, I like I said before, he's not too much. There's not too much to him, so like it's kind of hard to follow him as like a main character. I think I'd rather have him as like a side character or like a side villain kind of thing. But he works as a comedic villain, so I give it a 6.
I think that's very fair. Crippy?
Okay, so basically I said what I had to say. I actually do enjoy this character a lot. I have my fun with him. And I kind of leaves, there's some gaps there that wants me to know more about him and see more about him. Like, I want them to actually, like, those projects that I kind of said, I kind of wish they would work with that a little bit more, because that had more depth to this character than what we got. And like, Jerry reminds me, he deserves it. But I'm not gonna lie, when he becomes a slave, enslaved by his other fellow Orange Corps members, I did feel bad. I know, Jerry, but I did start to feel bad for him.
I didn't at all.
I know. Well, like, I did try to, like, I kind of started to feel a little bad for him, but due to Jerry reminding me, and then I kind of just remembering that he did kill them all. He kind of deserves all this shit he's going through to be like, because like he's an asshole. So like I did get a moment of that, but I worked through it. But I kind of enjoy this. I enjoyed this whole story. The Cosmos stuff kind of got a little cluttery because the bickering and how much information they're trying to feed us with everything. And like, I'm not gonna lie, some of the texture, like the text they're using for certain beings, certain celestial being, the wording kind of like got with like reading it with digital. It was kind of a little harsh to read, a little bit, somewhat.
It's not any better in print.
It's not the right choice. I could see them. They could have used something else.
Oh, when it was like dark. Like the dark, it was text,
like it was just getting like out of hand with certain things. I get it. He wants them to come out with this certain tones of like, in case they do animate this, you get the right voicing and right way of doing it. But like, it was, to me, it felt poorly of choice. But overall, I kind of like this story of Larfleeze. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna give it an 8. But I want to see more. I do want to see more out of it.
Nice. It this was my second time. I read this years and years ago. Probably, I think it's been about maybe 3.5, 4 years. I first read this. I went to comic book stores like, oh, Larfleeze. I haven't picked up anything new out of the discount bin. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And then I just went down this rabbit hole of what can Larfleeze actually do, and then that just opened the floodgate. Yeah, it was like because it had been sitting for a long time. And it was like this whole piece is just it's what I want in a comic. It was goofy. It had some, it had some serious moments like with him being enslaved and then him killing his Thieves Guild's mate and then his also core mates. But also the fact that no matter what, Larfleeze did stick to his guns no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And he just stuck true to, I don't want anything to do with you. You're kind of annoying.
That's what I kind of like about this character, that he has that mentality. We don't really kind of get some of those, and some of those and if we do get some of them, they get changed later down the road to they get a character development. Where Larfleeze we get small character development, but he slaps it back to being himself again. We get stuff.
Absolutely.
And then
that's true.
I think this comic is a good way to start. This comic, along with the short, is a good way to introduce Larfleeze to people who are very, I don't think Larfleeze is that good, powerful of a villain. And then when you start looking at everything he can do, Larfleeze, I would say Larfleeze, I would put him, in the same top 10 list of powerful villains, right in there with Darkseid. Because, he was essentially a one-man army fighting gods with little to no trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not something that's easily done. I don't care, who you are.
Dude, he didn't
especially with how dim-witted he is, they could have easily just outsmarted him any kind of way. Mm-hmm. But no, that didn't happen. And for me, I'm gonna be like Crispy. I'm gonna give this comic an 8. I definitely enjoyed going back and rereading this. I forgot how just insane in the brain Larfleeze is. Larfleeze does what he wants when he wants, regardless of what's happening.
Yeah. And the one part I kind of want to go back a little bit, when he was going with the bounty hunters to figure out who stole his items, I love when he gets shot by the one lady, and he just keep shooting me, I'm gonna kill you. And then she ran out of ammo. She decides to take a concrete slab and slap him in the back. He's like, "Come on!"
And that's just Larfleeze.
Yeah,
it's he's like I said before, he is an unsung Green Lantern villain, but when you see him, he's always gonna leave you with a lasting impression. No matter what he does, no matter what scenario it's in.
Yeah, I would agree.
And, before we close out, Matt, if you want to give us your picks for next episode.
Okay. So here we go.
It better not be Kiss, Pew Pew, and Lighting.
Wait, I have before we get Matt's picks, I just have a question for you guys. For the Orange Lantern Corps, besides Larfleeze, which one was your favorite? Mine was probably the Minotaur looking one.
Oh,
him and the mummy guy.
Yeah, I'd say the mummy guy.
Yeah.
Because the dude who looked like a Cheeto Puff, I hated him. Yeah. And the chick that was obsessed with him, I hated her too. I was like, man, y'all kind of annoying. But I like the mummy.
I'm in the same boat as both of you. Those two were probably the best ones. And it was kind of fucked up. Everyone forgets about the Minotaur guy. They always put me in the stable. They always leave me in the stable. Everyone always forgets me. Then and even Larfleeze forgot about him, and he breaks through the wall and beats the shit out of Larfleeze. Oh yeah,
that was cool.
Oh god,
very funny.
All right, Matt, your recommendations.
Okay, so.
It better not be Peter Jackson pew pew and lightning from his penis.
Peter
riding
Jackson?
a guitar. Oh, Kiss. Yeah, I meant Kiss.
Oh my god!
I wouldn't mind seeing that movie with Peter Jackson.
I went to Percy Jackson. That's what my mind went to when I heard that. Like, Percy Jackson, the Thunderbolt stealer, and I'm like, oh, why not? I'll switch my pick to that now. No. So I'm gonna go down a pick here that actually I hope Josh would actually like, because the style. Jerry actually got me into the series. This is gonna be the short. And we haven't done this before yet, so
let me guess. It's going to be an anime.
It is going to be an anime.
Of course.
Oh,
go ahead.
I can't believe I'm choosing this right now, but it's going to be Mashle, Magic and Muscles, episode 1 and 2, because you need 2 episodes to understand this character. And Josh,
wait, what is it called?
Jerry knows the title. The title better than me. I call it Mashville. I think it's
that's what it's called.
Okay,
Nashville.
Mashville. Mashville. I'm saying it worse.
Natural.
Mashle.
Mashville. What?
I'll text it to you.
Don't translate it to you. Don't try to grasp it. Episodes 1 and 2. You need 2 episodes, and Josh,
right.
it's
I'm just
like
gonna watch
Mob
a documentary about Nashville and go like, "This is what you told me to watch."
No, Josh. The art style and the character is gonna remind you of a Mob Psycho.
Okay.
So it's gonna give.
That was actually one I liked.
So I'm hoping you actually enjoy this one too. And so the main choice, because of this, I had to go with one of the Harry Potter movies because it worked. Works with this. And so I'm gonna go with the Chamber of Secrets. Is
this what it's called?
No.
March Madness is basketball. Basketball sucks.
No.
Oh, that's what I heard.
We're gonna go with the Chamber of Secrets.
Oh, the first one?
All the jokes.
No, this is the second one.
That one's so boring. Wait, which one is that?
That's the second one.
Oh, okay.
I get to fight my fear.
The snake?
Snake.
The partial tongue.
What month is the next one? What? August? August, yeah. Interesting choice. I wasn't expecting a Harry Potter movie from really any of us.
I've been making this joke forever.
Yes, he has.
My favorite Harry Potter film, I guess I'll throw that when we talk about Harry Potter. I'll save that.
Yeah, I have a lot to say about Harry Potter, so I'm going to have fun with this one.
It's definitely not that one.
Oh, crispy. I'm looking forward to this. I kind of
like, hey, Jimmy, if you're still here with us properly, I kind of want you to be on the podcast for this. You are a
join us. Nerd. We've been talking about Jimmy coming on for a while. It just never happened. What the heck, man? Why hasn't it happened yet?
Exactly my birthday. Why ain't I picking?
I mean, technically, but anyway, if you don't want to be spoiled for Mashle, Magic and Muscles, and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, make sure you watch them before next podcast episode. And I'm ignoring the comments. Birthday. I see them coming through, but we're going to close out for the evening. So 3, 2, 1. This is Jerry guiding you all with Green Lantern's light.
I'm Superman's pal, Matt.
And I'm Josh, sending you off up and away until next Batyard's Finest episode,
where we become super pals, one episode at a time. Good night, everybody.
See you next time.